name is Kevin Fernandez, and welcome to my channel, Gamers Genie. Today, I am going to be counting down my top 10 favorite games that I got to check out at Gen Con this year. I do one of these lists every August when I come back from Gen Con. Obviously, this is the end of August when this will be released, but right now where I am, we're kind of in the middle. Some of these games are games that I did get to check out how to play it, but I didn't actually get to play it myself. Unfortunately, these games will be pushed in the back in like 10 and anything under 10. The more further up to my the top 5, they will be those are games that I got to either demo part of it or I got to play a full version of the game. So, without further ado, let's count down. Okay, so number 10 is the game Arcs by Leader Games. This game looks really good, really fun. This does have similar kind of legacy game. It is a legacy game similar to Oath, but it's not played like Oath. I did learn how to play it. It's played very differently. Unfortunately, I'm unable to just sit here and kind of off the top of my head give an accurate description on how to play. But this is like outer space, kind of it's more of a science fiction thing versus fantasy, which is really cool because I rarely see Leader Games dive into science fiction. It's got that awesome Kyle Farron art. It's pretty cool to see that. So that is one of the reasons why number 10 is Arcs. Okay, so number 9 is Boop the Halls with Boughs of Holly. Yes, I'm putting down a Christmas-themed board game for number 9. I have played Boop. I have played the original Boop. And for those of you who don't know how to play the original Boop, you have to get cats in a row, and you can boop other cats off. You start off with kittens, but then they can grow into full-size cats. And if you get a certain number in a row, you win the game. However, in Boop the Halls, you have that, but it's a tree now. And there's another way you can win by knocking off all your opponent's ornaments on the tree, because cats knock ornaments off of trees all the time. Comment down below how many times you had to clean up your ornaments because your cat knocked them down, if you have a cat. But let's face facts, dogs do the same thing. But cats do it better. They can get personal. But yes, Boop the Halls, it's got that same thing, get the cats in a row, but also knock the ornaments off. It looked pretty fun, it looked pretty enjoyable, and Jordan really seemed to like it. What I do like about it is the cats, the little cat meeples that they had for that. The cool thing about that is they did something that that a lot of games with cats don't do. They gave them a back. They gave the cats a back. So you got the front and the back, which I thought was pretty cool. Boop the Halls will probably be the version that I'm probably going to go for because that looks like really fun, and I do love Boop. It's a really fun game. I love to play it on Board Game Arena all the time. So yes, number 9, Boop the Halls by Smirk and Dagger. Okay, so number 8 was Gnome Hollow by the Op. I did not remove that game. It is still there. Yeah, you film when your wife's still in the room and she sneezes. What can you do? Okay, so this one you get. This one I'm not quite sure how to play it. I did come at the tail end of this. One of the reasons why I got a little bumped up above Boop and Arcs was because I did like I liked the detailed artwork. Boop and Arcs, I love the artwork and everything. Don't get me wrong, but this one, the gameplay was pretty good. I might need to like go through it again to see how to play it because once again, just like Arcs, there was a lot to it. Boop actually was a lot more streamlined, a lot more easier for you to just get going on the game. It looks really fun. I definitely want to try it out fully before I buy it. I know it's on Board Game Arena, so maybe I'll try it out there. And so who knows, maybe it might get knocked up, bumped up. Poor choice of words. It'll get bumped up on the list, or maybe it'll get pushed back. I do not know, but all I do know is number 8 is Gnome Hollow. Okay, so number 7 is Knitting Circle by Flat Out Games. In this one, it's a game that's taking place in the Calico world. So if you like Calico, this game will be really your thing. But one of the major changes that you're doing is you are trying to knit scarves, I believe. Instead of sewing a quilt, you're trying to knit scarves. And the same thing, like the cats kind of like play with the yarn and everything like that. Jordan really loves these cat-themed games, so I definitely made sure we got to check out all these different cat-themed games for her to check out and see if she wanted to like put it on her list or something like that. It looked really fun. It's got that Beth Sobel artwork, so don't worry, Beth Sobel's still doing the artwork for like Calico and all those wonderful games by Flat Out Games that you guys enjoy so much. But yes, number 7 is Knitting Circle. Okay, so number 6 is Harvest by Keymaster Games. This game is like you're growing crops, you're trying to build your own personal farm and everything. There's a lot to this game. But I feel like Keymaster Games, so they're, I played Parks, I played a lot of their games. Harvest is the first one where it feels like there's a lot going on with the game. Not that, I think the closest thing to Harvest that has a lot going on is Parks. Harvest really feels like there's a lot, but it does feel like it's simulating growing, a fully functional farm. So yes, of course, there's going to be a lot more stuff going on in the game, so that makes a lot of sense. It was really cool. It was really fun. I'm definitely probably going to put this one on my list to get in the future. I know, there was, Gen Con was kind of my last chance of getting the deluxe edition of the game, but I'm pretty cool with I'm pretty okay and cool with the standard edition if I can get that. But yeah, number 6 is Harvest. Okay, so number 5 is the game Landmarks by Floodgate Games. I like how Floodgate really seems to be trying to streamline travel games, because I feel like we're not getting enough travel games. Landmarks is kind of a travel game, so you write all these different keywords down. You have to see what they connect to and try to guide the path to the destination. It seems pretty fun. There was a guy that we were there with that he was already kind of in the middle of a demo when we got there, but Landmarks, so the reason why this one is so high is because just like Elder Sign or something like that, you do not need to reset the game if you're in the middle of the game. So if you and another player are playing the game and other people would like to join, you can have them join, and you just give them the word, and then they can discuss, oh, well, I think this should go, so one guy was like, okay, I think this pretzel should go by sourdough. Well, actually, I think they should go by bread, because pretzels and bread, they're still a type of bread, so they're very connected to that. That was one of the things that they were doing at Gen Con. It looked really cool, looked really fun. The artwork on the board looked really good. It kind of looked like an old-fashioned road map. like back when like road maps were also like souvenirs as well. And then like later on, before they became like road maps, and then got replaced by GPSs. So yeah, number 5 is landmarks. Okay, so number 4 is Nature by North Star Games. Now, one of the cool things about this game is if I couldn't think of like, if I didn't have like 10 games, I was going to spread out Nature because Nature has different modules that you can play. So you can combine modules, except I was told this. You cannot combine Rainforest with Arctic. So, because they're very counterproductive. Arctic kills a lot of food. There's very little plant life, and Nature has an abundance of plant life. So you can't do both at the same time. So if you're going to play Nature in the future, you just don't do that. But this was really good. So it had like gorgeous artwork as tradition. It did have like similar mechanic. Of course, the mechanics. This is part of the like the evolution series, so naturally there's gonna have like the same kind of mechanics as like evolution, oceans, and all that stuff. Where there's a watering hole, you're eating food from the watering hole. But one of the cool things is the traits. Now the traits, some of them have similar or the same traits from like evolution or something like that. But one of the cool things about that is you don't have to reveal all the traits at once like in evolution and oceans. So, you know, there's a phase where you reveal your traits. Well, so like let's say Jordan decides she wants to make one of her species a carnivore. Actually, I believe they call them creatures now, not species, because they're like more akin to modern animals now. So, but I'll just, for the sake of confusion or whatever, I'll just call them species until they release the full game of Nature, and then I'll refer to them on how the rules refer to them. So you put traits on your species as usual. You can have a limit of, I think, 3 each, and it does not vary from player count to player count. So one of the cool things about this, so like I was saying, let's say Jordan decided to make one of her creatures a carnivore, one of her species a carnivore. Well, then she attacks me. Well, then I flip over and she finds out that I'm poisonous. So she successfully attacks me, but then I poison her. Or like, you know, flip it over, you have horns, or flip it over, you got a hard shell. It's so cool. You don't know, like, so you can't, when you go carnivore and you try to hunt, you can't just be like, well, I'm just going to go after that person because they seem like the weakest, and then it's like, bam. Next thing you know, your population's going down. You're on the edge of extinction. Now, one of the cool things about this is when you're extinct. So if you don't go extinct, you get a new species. But if your creature goes extinct, you get a new creature. You get to reset that creature that went extinct. Put all the traits back in your hand, and then you can kind of set them new. But you don't get another species on top of that. So it's either if they die, you get to revive them, but if they don't die, then you get another species to work on. So that's kind of nice. I always felt like that was kind of nice, that one of the things that you usually worry about is like, okay, how many cards do I have to discard to bring out another species? Well, that you can just put your mind at ease for. You don't have to do that. There's also 2 trait decks. There's the main deck, and then there's whatever module you're playing with. Kind of like how in Oceans you have just the surface level stuff and you have the deep. So it's very similar to that. However, there's no Cambrian explosion or anything that triggers in order for you to use those other cards. You can just use them whenever you feel like, and that was pretty cool as well. Now, I only played 2 of the modules when I was at Gen Con. I played Arctic and I played Nature. Arctic really forces you to become a carnivore and that makes sense thematically, because if you go to more of the frozen areas of this world, you will find probably more carnivores. You have, polar bears, there's orcas, there's so many different animals who eat other animals. There's rarely an animal that eats plants. But when you're in the rainforest, you have more you're able to be a herbivore a lot more. Now, like I said, my dad played more modules than me. I believe he played Arctic, he played Rainforest, and he also played the natural disasters as well. I don't think he played the Jurassic though. But that was a main thing that he tried to do. It was a free event, so it was really cool. Thank you, North Star Games, for getting to show off a lot of the people who went to Gen Con what's in nature. Now, I would say, though, since this is still being in the process of being made, I know this is kind of an early judgment, but if I were to want to add on something, I would like the traits to have abilities. A lot more abilities, a lot more of a variety of abilities. That's all. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, because this was technically kind of a prototype, but that would be my 2 cents for doing the playtesting. Because that's essentially what we did. We did a playtest. But the quality of the cards and for just a little for basically like a prototype, was pretty good. The first player token was pretty solid as usual. Yeah, the card quality was great. All the pieces had great quality and everything. It's amazing that was as well put together as it was. Because usually when someone's doing a playtest, the prototype pieces are, flimsy and kind of weird. So, I mean, if that's what the prototype's like, I cannot wait for the final product. So yeah, number 4 is Nature. Okay, so number 3 was the game A Midsummer Night's Fair by Gamewright. Now, I made it my mission to go to Gamewright this year because Jordan loves fantasy games, but Midsummer Night's Fair had Jordan's favorite element of fantasy games, fairies. Jordan loves fairies. If a game has a fairy, she will definitely want to try it. So we tried it, and you get to get points and stuff by completing little mini games within the game, which is pretty cool. That's actually pretty nice because I don't really play that many games that have. It's like there's a main game and then there's a bunch of mini games in the game, and that's how you kind of get moving on the game. Now, of course, as I said, I don't remember all the full details. If you notice the gameplay was pretty nice. You get to keep score. There's a scoreboard. You get to also roll dice, and they're it's like in Rec Raiders, you have a little dice board in the box and everything. Really cool. Beautiful artwork. The artwork is freaking gorgeous. But I definitely know this is probably going to go on Jordan's Christmas list. She really likes fairies. So yeah, number 3, A Midsummer Night's Fair. Okay, so number 2 was Courtesans. Now, I knew that this was going to make it to number 2, mostly because I already kind of learned how to play this game before Gen Con started, because on their Instagram page, Pandasaurus Games did release a how to play video on all their social media platforms. So I did check out how to play this game ahead of time. The artwork is beautiful. It's got that beautiful Renaissance artwork. We have it right up here, but we haven't opened it yet. So I don't know what's inside. But the board, I don't think this is a deluxe thing. The board is a tapestry, and is really cool. The fabric feels so nice. The card quality is great. Okay, so the main thing is you're trying to make sure you are going to score the most points, and you do that by trying to make sure that you have personal goal cards that you have to do. That can give you 3+ points. And then you can have then you set cards in front of it, and then you take an action. You have a hand of 3 cards. 1 card goes in front of you. 1 card goes to any one of your opponents, and 1 card goes on the board either in favor or in exile. And if there's more cards in exile then in the favor of the queen, well then you get you lose points based off of the number of cards in there. But if you have more people who are in the queen's favor, as opposed to that, and you have those cards in front of you, then you get more points. Unfortunately, I did have to. There are like times where you have to be super mean to the people in the game. Like this is one of those Game of Thrones cutthroat like traitors game where you can really go hard, and I had to go really hard to my opponent who was on my left side, because it said that I had to have less stag cards than the player to my left. So I was just kind of stacking her pile, but she was a good sport. We were all being good sports about it. Like there was no like personal like vendetta going on in the game. We all were having fun. We were enjoying our time. We got to play with the full number of players, which is always amazing when you get to demo a game with the full player count. It was super fun and it was enjoyable. So number 2 is Courtesans. All right, number 1. Oh my gosh, number 1 is in my opinion, one of my favorite games of all time, Heroscape. Renegade Games revived the Heroscape series. And if you guys have played Heroscape before and you have the figures, not to worry. You do not need to throw away all those first edition series of Heroscape figures. You can incorporate them into your game with these, I'm going to call them second edition Heroscape figures, because actually the correct term would be third edition, because technically they did make a second edition when they were with Hasbro. So I think I'll respond to this as the third edition of Heroscape. Now, in my opinion, Heroscape is in better hands with Renegade than they were with Hasbro. And I'm not going to say the reason why is because they did the Marvel set and the D&D set. I love the Marvel set. The D&D set, that was probably what killed it. So I kind of liked it. But the Renegade Heroscape set is so great. So they already have like packs and all sorts of stuff that you can do to expand your game and to make it more fun and give you more options for picking your miniatures. However, the one problem that Heroscape kind of had, and if you say this is not a problem, then why did Renegade make this? They have packs just for extra terrain tiles. So you can buy a big box of just extra terrain, like mountains and like forests and plains and everything. But you can also buy extra water. That was one of the major things that was wrong with that Heroscape struggled with, was it always ran out of water spaces. And as we know, the water spaces always really helped you, could make or break a game, because you go 1, 2, 3, 4, because water spaces counted as 2. Unfortunately, I wanted them to teach me, not unfortunately, so I did want them, even though I already knew how to play the game of Heroscape, I did need a reminder on certain things, like the X, using the X shield or something like that. Another thing I had to remind myself was when you're climbing up a mountainside, I have to count the cliffside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to remind. There was a lot of stuff I had to have reminders of. This was definitely my favorite game. Playing it, I probably will try to get a copy of it in the future, but I did tell my in-laws as well as my own family, and I told my wife I do not want to, because Heroscape is a miniatures game, and just like any miniatures game, it is an investment, because you're investing in all these sets and characters to really make your game pop. So that way you can have a lot of options when you're playing a big battle. I need to make sure that Jordan likes this game too. So that way, I know I can play this game with my dad, but you know, we're only here on this earth for a limited time. You know, we have a limited time, and when that time's up, that's it. And, you know, the thing is, if the one guy I played the game with, you know, passes on, you know, and then all I have is Jordan, and she doesn't like the game, I'm stuck. I could teach it to my kids. That's a possibility. I know we have one kid on the way, at least, that I could teach that to. But, you know, I gotta wait until they're past the age where their first instinct is to put the thing in their mouth. So yeah, I gotta make sure Jordan likes the game. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set up like a little. I'm gonna go get the base game rules. I'm gonna set up a nice battlefield from the base game. I'm not gonna go totally crazy with my Heroscape set. Set up the big fortress and the lava and all that stuff. I'm just gonna set up the basics, teach her the rules, see how she likes it, and then we'll move on from there. And I will definitely get a copy of the Renegade stuff. Now, another cool thing about that, I do want to say this: there is an expensive version of the game, and there's kind of an inexpensive version. The inexpensive version is unpainted, and the expensive one is painted. The unpainted ones are there for people who either don't really quite know if they want to play, if Heroscape is like a game they really want to get into, but they mainly wanted to do it so that way people who really, really like to paint their own miniatures can paint their own miniature, can paint the Heroscape miniatures any way they want. So yeah, this, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like Heroscape in Renegade's hands. It's like Heroscape on steroids now. It is amazing. And Roy Canada, we bumped into each other at Gen Con. I am also a big fan of Heroscape as well. I doubt you're watching this though. But yeah, you know, there you go. Number 1, Heroscape. And there you go. There's my top 10 games that I got to try out at Gen Con. Just to let you know, Heroscape was the first game I actually tried at Gen Con. So, but anyways, I really did enjoy this year's Gen Con. It was super fun. I always have a great time every time we go to Gen Con. It's definitely super fun, a super great environment to go hang out and play games and everything like that. It's definitely something that I recommend people try. Super psyched that they broke like records and ticket sales and all sorts of stuff. I'm glad that Gen Con is finally getting back to that prime that we remember it to be before COVID started and everything like that. So it was really cool to see all these people like really getting in and enjoying gaming and everything. And it was super fun. If you went to Gen Con, let me know your favorite games you got to try out, or at least, and you know, I don't know if they're still doing the virtual Gen Con. I think they are. But also let me know if there's anything on there that you guys liked checking out. You know, let me know if there was any of these games that you thought seemed interesting as well. Leave all your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell to be notified for top 10s list just like this one. And if you're a big fan of the channel as a whole, consider becoming a Patreon supporter on our Patreon page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. You can support us for as little as $1 a month, which will unlock early access to how to play videos, just like some of the games that are going to be how to play videos on this list in the future. There's also other levels. There's you know, $3 level, and there's also a $5 level. Each levels will unlock you different stuff, but I kind of just can only mention the one because I don't know what YouTube's limitations on that is. So anyways, be on the lookout for our next top 10s list. But until then, thanks for the views.